Well, this morning I have the privilege of interviewing a couple who've been members of Life Church for 30 years. We've got Ian and Judith Green with us this morning, so welcome Ian and Judith.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. Now, Ian and Judith, like I say, have been part of this family and invested in this family for 30 years and are moving on this week, have sold their house, moving to another part of the country, but I'll let them tell you about that as we move on. So tell us a little bit about how you ended up in Bedworth.
So at the time I was leading an organisation in the UK called Youth Alive, partly Assemblies of God. Our team had grown so large, we were out of office space. The then leader of the church said, look, we got loads of office space here, why don't you come and base yourself here? So it was a very pragmatic move, and so they had space, we had bodies, and that worked pretty good.
We'd just been married too. We'd only been married about 6 months, and we actually thought it would be lovely to move to a new place and start married life together in a new location. So Bedworth it was.
Sunny Bedworth. So Youth Alive brought you here, and then from that developed NLI, a ministry that you guys started. So tell us a little bit about NLI.
So probably after 6 or 8 months of being here, I felt this burden and passion for Eastern and Central Europe. Did a trip there. It was quite moving. On my way back, driving with a bunch of other people in a van through Austria, I says, Lord, you've got to do something to help these people in Eastern Europe. And the Lord says, then why don't you do something? So I was a little shocked. I wasn't expecting to be the answer to my own prayer. Came back, I thought, well, my get out of jail card is going to be Judith. So I explained what's going on, and I thought she'd say, no, I'm so crazy. And so she's only got one question: who's going to pay us? And so I says, well, I think if the Lord is calling, he is going to pay. And so for the last 30 years, we've lived a life with no static income, and seen the Lord do incredible things. The ministry grew pretty rapidly. I think at one point we had 32 people based here, 32 people working in the ministry, and more based at the church because of families. And we, I guess over a 20-year period, systematically trained about 10,000 leaders, had about 200 attempted church plants, and took about 5,000 people on mission.
Wow. What God can do with a simple prayer and a practical wife who wants to know the details. But behind
yes,
every
definitely.
dream or visionary husband is a practical wife, and I can attest to that as well. Did you have a lot to do with the NLI journey as well, with welcoming the families, Judith?
Yes, I mean, I've always enjoyed hospitality, and so, that was very much what I was involved in, welcoming all the families that came and helping them to settle in. So yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah. I would say that a lot of people who maybe don't even know you would maybe know people who are connected to the church through the NLI journey, really, aren't they? And there's a lot of people that we joke Ian has managed to bring into the church, and Ian and Judith were key in bringing us to the church as well, so you can either thank them or not at another time. So you would have a lot of memories here in Bedworth. Your kids have grown up here. What's some key memories you have of the church here?
I think for me, just saw how the church created great opportunities for our children. So both of that fun age, 11 to 14, anything can go right or left, and the church kind of reached out to them. For Sophie, she found herself serving in the youth ministry. She's fairly gifted in administration, so did a lot of that background, not front ground work, but it was a part of developing her character and who she was with Morgan. Soph went off to Australia, and we were unsure really how Morgan would respond to that. A lot of his friends had moved on at that point, but the worship team really reached out to him, although he was much younger, showed care, affirmed him, and very soon he was a part of the normal worship team and served right up until he went and studied in London. So I think how the church cared for our young people and created opportunities for them to grow and develop, that's a highlight for me.
Yeah, I ran a ladies' life group for 12 years and oversaw the women's life groups that met during the day. Definitely a highlight for me. We had many young mums who came through that group. Some would just come for a period of time before they went back to work. But there were some of us who had young toddlers and ended up staying all of those 12 years until we had teenagers. So we'd journeyed life together. We'd had some big heartbreaks with people dying and different things that we had to journey, and it was hard. But, it was, for me, just a highlight of being able to invest into women and just see them mature and grow. So, yeah.
It's amazing. Community and relationships, so important, and it still is in the life of the church, isn't it? So, which is why we'll miss you guys so much. So what's next? What's the next step of the adventure?
Well, it's been a process. We've been here 30 years. We came for 3 weeks, so it got extended. I was praying some months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and we felt that we needed to go somewhere. We didn't know where to go to. The kind of work that I do, as long as I'm within an hour of an airport and based somewhere in Europe, I can do what I'm called to do. So that made it not easy. That made it more difficult because Europe's a big place, and so I felt the Lord say to me, you need to be self-disruptive. You need to be self-disruptive. So I interpreted that to mean that if we sell our house, then we have to make some decisions. And so shock of all shocks, our house sold in 5 weeks. We got a cash buyer, and then we had to make some decisions. And so we had talked numbers of things. Maybe let's do Airbnb in 5 or 6 places in the UK and find out maybe one of those places, or let's go to the Mediterranean and go to Portugal, go to Spain, go to Croatia 2 or 3 months at a time, and then just try to get our bearings. Of course, COVID changed everything, and so all of those plans came to nothing. And so Christmas Day, we're kind of not sure where we're going, and we had some friends come, Pete and Jill Reed, who lots of the people in the church will know. They came and they said, there's an opportunity. On their campus, the Bible College campus, there was a cottage that just newly renovated, and it could be a possibility that we could rent that. And so they came back, and so we have got that for 3 months. After that, we don't know, but we're anticipating the provision of the Lord, and are not really thinking of buying anything for 12 or 18 months. We just want to go on this journey and see where the Lord leads us.
Yeah, it's definitely taken me out of my comfort zone because I'm super organised. I like to be able to see the next step. And so when we came to Christmas, we'd sold our house and we didn't know where we were going. That was a challenge, but I just had to really submit it to the Lord and just say, you promised to direct our paths and we're trusting you. And we've seen a miracle in great provision of a beautiful cottage with lovely, stunning views, and just feel like God has just shown us that He is going to direct us, and this is just the first step.
I love that. I love he's faithful at every step of the way, isn't he? In every season of our lives. And I love that you're not settling down and settling for you're stepping out. You're still very young, and stepping out into the next thing, this adventure. I love that language of adventure. So what kind of encouragement could you leave to the church here as you go on the next step? What would you say to the church?
I mean, I think for me, the thing that we've always said about Life Church is it's very adaptable. It's not religious. People are willing to follow vision and good leadership, and good-hearted people that have a heart for people and heart for the community. And I just believe that, the days of the church in the future are good. It's been a challenge, for this year, but boy, so many people have been helped in the community that we perhaps wouldn't have reached. And so, yeah, I just encourage Life Church, keep being adaptable, keep following the vision, and keep loving Jesus.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, observing over 30 years, there's strong things in the church. One, there is an apostolic anointing in the church. That means to say it will always go into untried territory, and it will always do things that maybe others have not yet done. And that's been the history while we've been in the church. The second thing is very prophetic in terms of it finds the heart of God and expresses it in all kinds of ways. And so in the past it was in the worship academy, it was in a boat that we used in Albania to reach out into that community. The third thing, which I'm really encouraged, it seems to me as if we've regained some of our spiritual roots of community engagement. The church has been prolific in the past in terms of community engagement. The founding pastor John, when he was here, had a whole manpower program, employed 100 plus people to touch the community. And I think through the years that was there, and then it faded, and then it kind of disappeared altogether. But I really feel now as if we've recaptured the DNA of the church, and that is not... Sunday is important, but what's really important is how we touch people's lives in the community. And as I'm observing and watching, I'm really excited about what's happening in that dimension. I'm full of faith that the church has got a great future. I believe we've got great leaders in you, Naomi, and Danny, and the team that you're raising up. So we feel as if we're moving on, but wow, we think the best days for the church is actually still yet to come.
Great. Well, I echo that, but we believe that for you as well. And while we're really sad to see you go, we believe that your best days are still ahead, and that we'll be cheering you on and praying for you from here. But we're so grateful, and we want to take this opportunity to thank you for everything that you've invested for the past 30 years into the church, the unseen and the seen. God's seen it all, and we know that there's lots of fruit from everything that you guys have done. So thank you so much, Ian and Judith.
Thank you.
Thank you.